Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about video game remasters, and why in particular they are destroying the industry of gaming. And people might say, but they're not destroying the industry, they are doing greater than ever, and we want these on the new consoles running in the best bitrate and the highest frame per second and this and that. But let me tell you, stick around and let me tell you why I believe this. Hear the whole context before you comment. So, what I'm talking about is, and I've said this in my previous videos about gaming, my gaming is dead video, and also why I'm retiring from PS5. I've said it in almost every video. I want to play the original games. And the fact that a console can't run the original form of games like Uncharted, the fact that the most powerful console on the planet, any of the most powerful consoles on the planet that they keep claiming has this many teraflops and whatever, the fact that they can't run stuff from the PS3 era is kind of telling. Like, what good is power if you can't play backwards compatible? And people have told me, there was one guy in the comments on the last video who was like, well, you know, I don't agree with that, and I believe we want to have remasters, and it'd be $1,000 console if we have to do this, and if we have to do that, it's going to be $1,000 console if they do that. And I was never talking about system on a chip, because this is the misconception about the last video. I was not talking about system on a chip like PS3 did. They have working emulators built into PlayStation Plus. They've got Tekken working on there. They've got Tekken 2. They've got stuff like they had the trilogy, the trilogy, the definitive trilogy, not this, but the 3 games in this. They had the PS2 classics running on PS4 and PS5 before they pulled them from the store. Now, obviously, I still have the versions I bought, and I have the PS2 classics, but there is a working emulator for PS2 on there. So tell me why we can't put a disc into the console? It's because they know that if they force you to buy this one, you're going to have no say in it. And this is why this is under physical media as well. So, I mean, when I'm talking about physical media as well as the console and gaming space as well. This is why it's so important to have physical media, because if I don't like this copy, the old PS2 classics versions that were on the store, they've been erased now. And if you didn't buy them while they were up, then you don't have access to those games anymore. I have access because I downloaded them to my hard drive, and I'm never letting those things go. But what if you don't want to play the definitive edition? Well, if you've got the new consoles and you want to play it on the new consoles, all you got is definitive edition now. They've pulled the PS2 classics from the store from the last time I looked. Now, there are times where remasters like Crash Bandicoot come out, and this was really good. I enjoyed this game. And when I say about remasters and being annoyed with remasters, I don't mean I don't enjoy these games. I mean, the first time I played The Last of Us was PS4 remaster or remake or whatever it was, remastered. That's the first time I played The Last of Us on PS4. I didn't actually play it on the PS3. But what I'm talking about is, yes, you can enjoy the game, but the original version of these games should always be preserved. And that's part of me as a preservationist, saying always preserve the original vision for the games. I mean, Crash Bandicoot changed some things in the game. Like, this game I felt was overall easier to complete. And not if you're going for the time runs, because they made those time runs stupid. Like, you had to do it in like 5 seconds to get to the end of the level. It was compromised from the get-go. But I didn't even bother with the time trials. I just went, okay, just complete it as I would with the original Crash. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the original Crash should be preserved on the new consoles. They had a working PlayStation 1 emulator on the PlayStation Portable. I'm just saying. They can build one for the PlayStation Portable, but they can't build one for PS5, the most powerful console on the planet. And I know people are going to say, but he's just... Because people said in my PS5 video that, oh, he's just bitter because he's going to have to run out and buy PS5 Pro. To tell you the truth, I'm not going forward with PlayStation. If anything, the PC Master Race have sold me on the concept of going to PC. At this point, why would I buy a new console that doesn't have games on it, and the only games we get are remasters that I don't even want to play? And that's not what the video is about. Let's go back to remasters. So you get into this weird trend of they keep just giving you the same game generation after generation after generation after generation. We've had The Last of Us now for 3 generations. We had PS3 version, the original. This is where it came out, the original copy. So we have the original. Then you have the remastered for PS4. This is where I first experienced it. This is where I got into The Last of Us. I enjoyed this game. This is where I experienced it for the first time. And this was basically a perfected version because it had Left Behind in it. It had everything. It was the Game of the Year edition, basically, you know? You had everything in this one. And then I have part 1 for PS5. I've never even bothered to play this. I got like through the first scene and then I was like, oh, I don't really want to play this because it's not the original graphics. I mean, it looks a bit too pretty, if that makes sense. And what I mean by that is that, you know, these games, the lower resolution graphics made the game a bit more, it had a bit of an aura to it, you know? It had a bit of an X factor, if you will. And I don't necessarily want to play a prettied up version of The Last of Us. If anything, I want to play a new Last of Us. I mean, we had part 2, and this is the problem with remasters. We got The Last of Us part 2 late towards the end of the PS4's life cycle. I think it was, what was it, 2019? Why did that game need a remaster? Tell me, seriously, someone explain to me why The Last of Us needed a PS5 remaster. The game looked great. Why couldn't they have just released it as it pretty? Why couldn't they just delay it by a year and put it out on the PS5 initially? Tell me why it needed a remaster. Seriously, the game didn't need a remaster. It was a new game that they've remastered for the new consoles, more power, frame rates. Why did it need a remaster? They could have waited a year and just put it out on PS5, and then you would have had a PS5 exclusive. Sorry, I'm trying to go off on a rant. But seriously, Drake, for example, I'm not the biggest Uncharted fan, but like, I should be able to put PS3 games in my PS5. And they've remastered these with the Nathan Drake collection already, which was alright. Like, Nathan Drake collection was alright. But you know they're going to remaster those again for PS5. You know they're going to do it. It's just a matter of when. And this is what we get into. When studios like Naughty Dog are focused on remaster, remake, remaster, it puts us back further and further from getting a new Last of Us game. Because the team have to delegate resources to go and do the remaster. And it hurts the industry because the biggest gripe people have with the new consoles is that where are all the games? Where are all the exclusives coming out? I mean, this is the generation where there are no exclusives. There are no games coming out almost, it feels like. And you might, in all fairness, there are games coming out because people ripped me apart in the comments last time. There are games coming out. PS4 had Bloodborne and so on. But as I mentioned, they need to do exclusives. And yes, PS4 had exclusives. Get out of my comments if you need to argue. I'll argue the point with you, but what I'm talking about is we have to have games overlapping when they release. There needs to be an overlapping trend of like, okay, you've played Crash Bandicoot, this comes out in May, and then, well, not Definitive Trilogy, we don't want that. Then The Last of Us comes out in July. Then in September, we'll put out the Uncharted 3 or whatever. Like, there needs to be an overlapping sort of release schedule so that the audience doesn't get bored. And at the moment, we have this release schedule of, we'll put out The Last of Us Part 1 on whatever, or we'll put out Spider-Man. And then you're going to wait 2 years for the next game we decide to put out. And it doesn't work. And with remasters, it's not just unique to the console space. PC Master Race, you guys are crazy with the remasters. Because I liked the original StarCraft. Not the remastered, the original. With the, what people call, I don't want to say that, but what people say are poo graphics or whatever. They look so low res. What was wrong with low res? They looked great to me. As long as the gameplay is good. And I know, is it not Bethesda? What's it called? Blizzard. Blizzard have put it out. You can download the original because I got it on my Surface Go, and I freaking love playing the original. Like, it is so good on the Surface Go. Like, I can play it almost portably, and it's like a tablet in there. So I like the original StarCraft. They did a remaster for it, and yeah, it pretties it up, I guess, and it keeps all the core aspects of the gameplay there. But at least they've preserved the original copy. The same can't be said for something like the Definitive Trilogy, the GTA Trilogy from PS2. They've pulled all these from the store, from what I've seen. And, I mean, look, Crash Bandicoot, the originals weren't even on the store, but why can't we have the PS1 emulator working on PS5? I mean, surely they have one from the PS3 days laying around, from the PSP. Why can't we just pull that across the PS5? And people might say, but it's different hardware, different this, different that. You're telling me they can't figure out that the top engineers who figured out how to get 67 teraflops out of a PlayStation for PS5 Pro, you're telling me those experts, those engineers, can't figure out how to make an emulator work on their most powerful console on the planet? Wake up. And I know people are going to jump down in the comments and say, oh, but this reason and that reason, and we don't want this, we don't want that. Dude, if I'm paying $750 for a console, figure it out. Sorry, but figure it out. And I know, look, we don't have, with PlayStation Plus in Australia, we don't have the emulator for PS3 working here because I don't know if the internet's strong enough to handle it or if there's copyright restrictions in place, but there is no working PS3 emulator within Australia on our consoles under the subscription service of PlayStation Plus. We never had access to that. We can't play certain games in that catalogue. But also, I don't like the idea that you're just at the mercy of the game giants. And if they just said, oh, you know, if you got Crash Bandicoot on disc still, just pop it in the console and you can play it. Why can't we play a PS1 era game on a PS5? Tell me why. Seriously, tell me why can't we do that? It's because they want you to buy the remaster. And that's how they continue to get money out of you through buying the remasters. And this is a good game. Don't get me wrong, this is a good game. But I should be able to play the original Crash. They should always preserve the original. And as we get into this trend of remasters, this continuous release of remasters and continuous remaster after remaster after remaster after remaster after remake after remaster, what are we going to have in 5 to 10, what are we going to have in 20 to 30 years when they've remastered this 15 different times? They remastered for the PS3, they remastered this now for the PS4, and I'm sure they'll continue to remaster it because people keep asking for it and people haven't learnt their lesson with that stuff yet. And look, I think Rockstar are starting to learn. They put out Red Dead Redemption basically unaltered on PS5, even though you had to buy the disc again. But the fact that we even got Red Dead in its original form on PS4 and 5 is a win for us. Like, yes, preserve the original, and people are going to complain, but it doesn't look pretty. Bro, we get it doesn't look pretty, but at least you're experiencing it as close as possible to the original. The original gameplay is maintained. And you might say, and yes, they give it some quality of life additives to the gameplay and give it a bit of love, but the fact that we even got Red Dead Redemption on PlayStation 5 and PS4, the original, I'll take that as a win. I don't care what form it is in, as long as it's not in definitive edition form, I'm happy with that. I purchased it and I was happy when I played through it. I was like, yep, this is a good transfer. This works. Like, I want to play this game. This one I don't want to play. I haven't even opened it because the transfer is not good, and also remasters. That game didn't need a remaster. Well, people will say, but the graphics. Yes, but what is wrong with playing the original graphics? I know everyone's obsessed with everything's got to look pretty these days, but we're talking about PS2 era games. If you want to play something pretty, play the new Grand Theft Auto. You've got GTA 5, go and play that. This is from the PS2 era. Stop trying to make it look like it was made yesterday. And I know that people will be annoyed by that comment, but hey, this is my channel and I can say whatever I really please to say, to be honest. And I think they need to really focus on make new games. GTA 6 is coming out whenever. If they delay GTA 6, I'll be happy with it. Just make sure you put out a working game. Because so often they ship unmade, like unfinished these days. But anyways, I'm going to end it there. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, whatever else you do. I don't know. Watch some movies. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next one, and peace out.